Welcome to the AI for Career Success video overview by Curt Robbins, where we help you get smarter than your competition. Today, we're deconstructing a truly landmark event in the artificial intelligence industry. We're talking about a massive new investment that really signals a new phase for AI, and we're going to break down exactly what that means for all of us. So, at the heart of all this is a single number: $30 billion. That's the staggering amount Anthropic just raised in its latest funding round. A figure like that, well, it tells you everything you need to know about the sheer scale of capital pouring into the AI space right now. And that $30 billion investment, it leads to an even bigger number: a post-money valuation of $380 billion. Now, a number like that doesn't just make Anthropic a big deal in AI. It positions them as a heavyweight contender across the entire global tech industry. Now, everything we're discussing today is based on an analysis by Curt Robbins, which was published on February 12, 2024. He put this together by synthesizing a whole collection of public statements from LinkedIn, posts made directly by Anthropic, their key investors, and a few respected industry analysts. All right, here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the announcement itself. Then, we'll cover the official narrative. After that, we'll try to put the sheer scale of this deal into perspective, explore a more critical viewpoint, and finally, we'll wrap up with the key takeaways for professionals like you. Okay, let's start with part one, the $30 billion announcement, examining the core details of this landmark funding round. So, let's get into the specifics. We're talking about a $30 billion funding round, which led to that $380 billion valuation. The round was spearheaded by GIC and Coatue management, but you also had other big names chipping in, like Founders Fund and NVIDIA. And this is a big deal in the grand scheme of things. It's actually the second largest capital raise ever for a private tech company. The only one bigger? That would be its main competitor, OpenAI. So that's what happened. But why did it happen? Let's move on to the official narrative and hear the perspectives from Anthropic and its lead investors. From inside the company, Krishna Rao, Anthropic's CFO, puts it pretty simply. He says this investment is basically a reaction to what they're seeing in the market. He points to, and I'm quoting here, exponential demand coming from everyone: entrepreneurs, startups, and even the world's largest companies. That, he says, is what's driving this. And the investors agree. Chris Emanuel from GIC, one of the lead investors, makes it clear that their confidence isn't just about the tech. His statement really emphasizes their conviction in their visionary leadership team and technical depth. So for them, it's as much about the people as it is the product. And to back up these claims about demand, Anthropic highlights a key financial metric: their run rate revenue. Now, all that means is a projection of future revenue based on how they're doing right now, and that projection is $14 billion. What's really wild is that this number has grown over 10 times, year over year, for 3 straight years. That's just explosive growth. So what are they going to do with all this money? Well, officially, Anthropic has laid out 4 main goals. They plan to deepen their safety research, keep innovating on the product front, power a major expansion of their infrastructure, and, of course, their ultimate goal: making their AI assistant, Claude, available to everyone, everywhere. Okay, we've thrown around some huge numbers, but it can be hard to grasp just how big they are. So for our next section, let's try putting the scale of all this into perspective. I mean, 30 billion, 380 billion, these figures feel pretty abstract, right? So how do they actually compare to something more tangible, like, say, the economy of an entire country? Well, analyst Tom Watson did the math, and the comparison is pretty staggering. That $30 billion funding round, that single investment, is bigger than the entire annual GDP of countries like Iceland or Rwanda. And the company's total valuation of $380 billion, that's more than the GDP of developed nations like Greece, Portugal, or Finland. That really puts the economic scale we're talking about into a whole new light. But you know, whenever you see numbers this large, it naturally raises some questions. Is this all just about building better technology, or is something else going on here? That brings us to our next section, the idea of a financial arms race. This is where industry analyst Jim Cascade offers a really provocative take. He argues that with funding rounds of this magnitude, the benchmark for winning the AI race is starting to shift. It's becoming less about who has the most accurate or the safest model, and more about who simply has the most capital. Cascade frames this as a contrast between 2 different competitive strategies. Think of it as 2 ways to build a moat around your business. On one side, you have the trustworthy system, where your advantage comes from having the best product, the most accurate and safest. On the other side, you have the capital fortress, where your advantage is just raw financial power, the ability to raise and spend more than anyone else. And according to Cascade, these mega rounds create some really intense pressures. Suddenly, there's a huge need to monetize at scale to justify the investment. That can lead to risks like trying to lock enterprise customers into your ecosystem. It also creates governance challenges. I mean, when there are billions of dollars on the line, it becomes very, very difficult to hit the brakes for safety concerns, especially if that might threaten the growth narrative. So with all that in mind, what does this mean for you as a professional or as a business that's adopting these technologies? Let's move to our final section, the key takeaways. Jim Cascade lays out some really practical advice for mitigating risk here. First, just assume that vendor policies and pricing are going to change, and probably quickly. To protect yourself, maintain multi-model portability. Don't get locked into one vendor. You should also be running continuous evaluations of the models you use. And when you're negotiating contracts, push for clear deprecation windows and audit rights. And maybe most importantly, he says you should treat the vendor's capital structure as part of your own risk assessment. And this all builds to one final critical question that Cascade leaves us with. As the market pressure to deliver profits on these huge investments intensifies, which corners might be cut first? Will it be safety, privacy, or neutrality? It's something we all need to think about. Thank you for watching. This is where we teach you AI and help you get smarter than your competition. If you like these videos, please consider using the QR code you saw at the beginning or that you see now to buy us a coffee. And of course, please subscribe to the AI for Career Success YouTube channel. And finally, please don't forget to like, comment, and share. It really helps us reach a wider audience.